Oh my gosh. Oh, for the love of God. Will somebody tell me why the hell does this album exist? Yes, I am talking about Chris Brown's Indigo. Holy crap. So let's just get this straight here. Chris Brown, an artist who was famous in the 2000s mainly. Um, Back then, he was still making some of the worst R&B music out there, and he still has been doing that. But let's just think about this: mediocre R&B music back in the day before all this stuff happened. Terrible music. Even for me back then, when I really wasn't looking at music, and I still did like some pop songs and stuff like that when I was younger, I still found Chris Brown annoying, and that hasn't changed today whatsoever. And he's been releasing music continuously, even though he fell out of the limelight for I don't know how many years, like 5 years or so. I didn't hear a thing about Chris Brown. And then, like the past 2 years, I've seen him on countless features now for some reason why. And he's come out with this album titled Indigo. And it's absolute pure hell. All 32 tracks. Yes, 32 tracks in one album by Chris Brown. Why? Why is this allowed anymore? Why is Chris Brown allowed to make 32 tracks and put on an album? And I wish I could say that I hope that this does not ever happen again. But the problem is that this is the again. This isn't the first time he's done this. Because in 2017, he released an album that had 45 songs on it. No interludes, no outros, no intros, no nothing. Full, complete songs, which I guess I'll give him that. They were full and complete songs, which I didn't listen to. I will never listen to. You could not pay me enough, I don't think, to listen to that. You probably could pay me enough to actually listen to that, but it'd have to be a substantial amount of money to do so. Because, again, that was 2.5 hours of Chris Brown music. Annoying, generic, uninteresting, and in the end, kind of turns to soulless R&B music. So, not so. Just to start off with, his music is terrible. His music has always been terrible. There hasn't been a time in my life where I said, "Oh, Chris Brown song, whoop de doo, yay, cool." No, I've always thought he was mediocre, and then he's really just developed in the trash, which I'll get into in just a second. But then let's just look at the person real quick, and he's not that good of a person either. Not at all, actually. So why are we allowing a guy like this who just to come out of nowhere again, to once again be part of the normal mainstream, being featured in all these artists' music? Like I think there's like 4 projects now that I've actually had to review a song that Chris Brown has been on this year, which before I didn't have to do. Like, why is he on these pop rap albums and stuff like that, and slightly R&B albums and stuff like that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And we've allowed him to release 77 tracks in 2 years? Who's a producer that thinks, oh, this is a good idea? Let's definitely allow this to happen. That, as if there weren't already bad enough music being released into the world, especially this year. To just list off a couple, we have Nav's Bad Habits, Logic Supermarket, that new Lil Keed album I can't think of the title of, also pretty bad. Gunna, Drip or Drown 2. Ugh, it's terrible. But then we have this. We have this 32 track thing that Chris Brown's giving us. So let's just start off. And I'm going to start off with like, the only good thing I'm going to say about this album is that for like the first 8 tracks or so, the production's actually kind of good. Like, it doesn't sound generic. It doesn't sound like something that you would hear on a regular basis. It actually kind of sounds like Chris's beat choices were actually more, I wouldn't say off the wall, but from what I'm used to hearing from him, they were kind of off the wall. And I was like, okay, so at least he's doing something good here, the production, right? Like, he might be able to pull it off. But then there's also Chris Brown, because I've always thought that his vocals were terrible. And I guess they really aren't technically terrible, but his voice just still annoys me to no end. I hate his singing voice. I wish he just stopped singing Which I guess in that case, I wish he stopped making music, which, well, yeah, I'd like that too. But still, Chris Brown, his lyrics are about the same exact thing every time. There's nothing different. It's all about sex, sex this way, sex that way, loving you tonight, girl, loving you then, loving you anywhere, and it even gets a little bit odd. Like, it does get a little odd. Like, what track was it here? Yeah, the track You Like That, which is the 17th track on this fucking album. He says, after saying a line about some, I guess, slightly kinkier kind of sexual stuff, quit putting up a fight. Um, in 2019, maybe don't say a line like that. That's just a little. It seems a little pushy into something. Quit your fighting. Hmm. Especially after you were just accused not too long ago of rape in France. Bad choice of wordplay, dummy. God almighty, it's just. So again, going back to the tracks, yes, the first 8 tracks, not even 8, like first 6 tracks or so, had the interesting production, but after that, the steep just goes down. Everything just goes down. Production just goes down. Lyrically, it actually, believe it or not, goes down. Everything just goes straight down into the most generic mess of R&B I think I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't even understand how people think that he's interesting. How do people think his new music is interesting? How? How? You tell me how. How the hell is his new music interesting in any way, shape, or form? There just is nothing on here that even makes sense. To really go into the absolute trash bag, like the bottom of the trash bag where the maggots hang out and stuff like that, we have the track Wobble Up, which features Nicki Minaj and G-Eazy. Nicki Minaj, I swear to God, delivers her worst feature I think she's ever given on a song. Like, period. Like, her vocals are completely trash. Her lyrics are cornballs and cheese and just so damn well, yeah, it's just so damn corny. The entire track's so damn corny. The chorus to this thing makes me laugh in the worst possible way possible. Like, it's just uh it's just hearing Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown just say wobble up on my dick multiple times over and over and over again. It's just so annoying, but it's just so funny. And I don't enjoy it though. It's not a funny that I enjoy. It's a funny of just like, please, God, please just end it. Take away my hearing now, please. I can't do it anymore. It's just so bad. And it really is. It really does just get that bad. Oh, and there's a track with Gunna on here. You want to talk about boring. I actually almost fell asleep listening to this track. And it's actually kind of a short track. But the production is just like any Gunna song. It's boring as hell. The flows, the singing, all is extremely boring, extremely mediocre, extremely generic. It literally, this doesn't really do anything. And to be honest with you, looking at the notes for, I would say, most of the tracks, there's literally a humongous majority of tracks on here that have no rhyme or reason. They don't add anything to the music scene right now. If anything, they just show why certain artists were definitely better in their heyday. We're talking about Chris Brown here. He never had a good heyday. He never did. Never from the start of his career. And I stopped taking notes on this album halfway through. I stopped. Literally, track 17, I said, fuck it. There's no reason to do notes. There's just no reason to do notes anymore, because I had a feeling that after the 17th track, there was gonna be no change at all with the music style. And wow, don't I just predict the future or what? Because I was fucking right. Nothing changes. Nada. Zip. Nothing. Nothing at all truly changes. The beats start to sound similar. Like, he really just kind of gave up making anything ain't unique at all. The features from everybody suck. They don't do anything. Justin Bieber appears on a track on here. His voice sounds terrible without tune. I've always thought it has, and it just continues to show here. Lil Wayne's on a track on this album as well, and he just I don't understand what's with him and features lately, but he just doesn't do it. And Trey Songz, Tory Lanez, all of them, their features, their lines are terrible. Joyner Lucas, who I would never want him to ever appear with Chris Brown on anything, especially with Joyner Lucas having all these very serious songs about different things that happen in life, to come on and do a track with Chris Brown, it makes no sense. And his lyrics are terrible. In fact, I think some of the worst lyrics on the entire album come from the Joyner Lucas feature. The worst rapping by far comes from Joyner Lucas, and that's saying something when you have G-Eazy on an album. Yeah, that's not good. I just don't understand. Like, again, going back to the fact that we're in 2019. One, well, I can't say that anymore. I was gonna say most production companies don't want a lot of songs, but with how streaming services work and how screwed up those are, they actually do want more tracks on albums. But at the same time, it's Chris Brown, the man who was irrelevant for the longest amount of time. All of a sudden came back strong somehow, and you're just gonna let him add to this generic mess of R&B and pop that most people have heard over and 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 over again. What's the point? You're wasting tape that could have been used on a much more talented artist. Like, hell, I just I'm getting to a loss of words here, because it's just like there's a production company that's allowing this to happen. This is like, you know, Chris Brown legitimately is just making, I think, some of the worst music that I have heard in a long time, as a way to get back at like people for making fun of him and talking shit about him because he did some shitty things in the past and had some pretty shitty excuses for him, and then continue to do other shitty things afterwards. And it almost kind of seems like he's just getting back at us by releasing some of the crappiest music possible, and not just giving us like 10 or 12 tracks, giving us 32 or 45 tracks. Like, I think he's out to kill people at this point. So I'm not too sure. It's just so bad. Again, the lyrics are basically the same on every single track on here. Same exact theme. Nothing changing at all. About having sex with women like that. Fucking up a woman until she can't walk anymore, which, knowing Chris Brown, could mean two things, both equally as depressing as the other. So, I just don't know. I don't know. And he's just so cocky about it, because he really thinks that people can just forget what he's done. And making fun of the, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I should say first, with that rape allegation. Apparently, he actually made fun of that person afterwards by releasing merchandise, if I'm not mistaken, which is just terrible. But we gotta remember too, I do separate the artist from the music. If the music's good, then that's one thing. But in this case, everything about Chris Brown is just pure crap. And this album, Indigo, is easily one of the worst albums I've heard this year. This album did not need to exist for any reason whatsoever. Nobody really had to do this. Why is Chris Brown still a thing? Why the hell does this album exist?